A good Erev Shabbos to our dear and beloved White Show members and Mispalim and to Achenu B'nai Yisrael listening out there. So listen in, I got a great email this week, but you got to listen mighty closely. And the individual writes, there was a kidnapping at school yesterday. Don't worry though, he woke up. He wasn't originally going to get a brain transplant, but then he changed his mind. Which country's capital has the fastest growing population? Ireland. It's Dublin every day. A supercilious crook going downstairs. Oh, you mean a condescending? Listen in, you got to listen closely. Jill broke her finger today, but on the other hand, she was completely fine. I tried to sue the airline for losing my baggage. I lost my case. I went to buy some camouflage trousers yesterday, but I simply couldn't find any. I can't believe I got fired from the calendar factory. All I did was take one day off. The man who survived pepper spray and mustard gas is now a seasoned veteran. Will glass coffins be a success? It remains to be seen. I have a split personality, said Tom, being frank. Sometimes, my dear Klal Yisrael, to chop a joke, to chop a line, we have to pay close attention to all the nuances. And then there are other times that the Torah Kedosha goes out of its way to make it quite clear, as it does at the first part of this week's double Parsha Bahar B'chukosai. The Parsha Bahar, as we will know, revolves around the mitzvahs of Shemitah and Yovel. Shemitah, every 7th year, just look out at your land and let it be. And let it go. No zriya, no charisha, no planting and no plowing, no working the land at all. How am I going to make parnasa, Eivishter? How am I going to support my family? How can I earn a livelihood when all I see as I peer out of my window is utter and sheer desolation? How am I going to do it? And the Torah comes right away to the rescue. And the Torah tells us in Bar Chav Hey Yutes, the very outset of the third Aliyah, V'nos naharetz perya v'achatam lasofa. Oh, don't worry about it. You will have sufficient food. V'shavtem levetach aleha. And you will dwell ever securely upon the land. Trust in me. B'boteach Hashem chesed yisavavenu. Be somech on Hashem, as we always say. You'll be besimcha. You'll be happy. You'll be sustained. You'll be supported. You'll be satisfied. Achaltem lesova just v'shavtem levetach. So listen in. Torah says, what me worry? There's nothing to worry about. Hashem's going to take care. But the Torah continues. Why? Because as the Sforno points out, not everybody is going to listen to the promise of the Torah. V'achaltem l'sova v'shavtem levetach. Not everyone can go ahead and really pass this very difficult test of a Shemitah year, of complete cessation from any work, any labor in the land, sitting ever so idle on the sidelines, looking out as things seem to wither. How am I going to do it? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so the Torah, listen in, recognizes that as well. And therefore, yes, the Torah just guaranteed you everything is going to be fine. But as the Sforno explains, the Torah recognizes not every Yid, every Jew is holding on that to Matrega B'tachet. Not everybody can take that message, glean it, inculcate it, and ingrain it into their fiber of their existence. So therefore, the Torah continues on. And the Torah Kedosha says, if you're going to be someone on an inferior level of bitachon, and you don't trust the Almighty 100%, and you're going to ask Hashem, what am I going to eat in the 7th year? Hey, lo nizu, lo nesavs to oseno, I can't plant, I can't garner, gather in all of my grain, my produce. What am I going to do? Hashem says, don't worry, I'm still going to take care of you. Continues the Torah HaKadosha v'tzivisi es b'chosi lachem hashana shishis. I will go ahead and give you a bountiful blessing. V'oses hatvu l'shlosh hashonim. I will give you a crop. Your land will yield a crop sufficient for a 3-year period. You'll have more than enough. Dahainu zosameris. You won't just have enough to sustain you and your family. I'm going to increase. I'm going to be mosif, a tremendous amiyuchadik, a lamaylam, and a teva bracha. If you but just keep this great mitzvah of Shemitah. going to take care of you. In fact, in the times of the Chazon Ish, we know how many years, the energy, the countless amount of time that Rav Avram Yeshaya Karelitz, the renowned Chazon Ish, put into spreading the word, disseminating a culture throughout Eretz Yisrael of Shmiras Mitzvahs HaShviyas, of keeping the Shemitah year. And in the year 1959, it was a Shemitah year. There was an organization that was formed under the leadership of this very Gadol Hador, the Chazon Ish. And they sprang into action. Their job was to assist and exhort every farmer in the Holy Land to observe Shemitah to the best of his ability. And through their efforts, many farmers did indeed keep the mitzvah and were sustained with all their needs, families taken care of for the duration of the year. However, one thing was missing. No matter how hard they tried, they cannot procure onions. Every other fruit and vegetable necessary was obtained in bulk quantities. And with one lone exception, they didn't have onions. They couldn't get onions from anywhere. And it turned out that such was the case until an abandoned cargo ship sailed into the port of Yaffo, filled almost to capacity with what? With, believe it or not, cases and cases and crates of onions. What in the world was going on, they wondered. It turned out this was an Egyptian vessel that inexplicably got lost out at sea. When the captain realized that he had inadvertently entered Israeli waters, he panicked and he ordered his entire crew to abandon ship. The boat came into port without a soul on board. And Klal Yisrael, the farmers observing Shemitah, had crates and crates of onions. Because if you're somech on the Eibishter and you keep the mitzvah, you know it's going to be all right. So now let's take a break from the action. We just learned how the Torah says, for the yemes tikabali b'tochen. If you're someone who really is somech on Hashem, you'll not only be b'simcha, but Hashem Yisborach is going to take care of you. And He will allow you to sustain your mishpacha and earn that livelihood based on the minimal amount of crops you have. But if you're not holding on that madrega, explain this for no. The Torah therefore continued and said, you're going to wonder and ponder aloud, Hashem, what am I going to do in year number 7? Hashem says, don't worry, I will go ahead and create miracles, and your land will yield a crop that will be a 3-year yield. Unbelievable. Nisim l'mayla minatev. If that's the case, that we have these miracles, asks Rabbi Aaron Kohler, the Lakewood Rosh Hashiva Zatzal, in his Mishnah Shabarim, then what indeed is the test all about? What's the test of Shemitah? You're an emistik of Al Bitachon to say to Gomer. Then you shavtam lebetach, you'll have achaltam lesofa, and it's all grand, it's all fine and dandy. And what if you're not on that lofty spiritual plateau of being that quintessential Al Bitachon? Don't worry about it. Hashem says, what? I got a built-in promise for you. I'm going to take care of it. You need onions. I'll send in the ships and I'll give you crates of onions. I'll make sure the miracles will happen. So then what's really the test? Especially if in year number 6 you just got a great crop, you got 3 years of produce. Right now in year number 6 you're taking care of for year number 7. So what's the big nisoyed going into year number 7? You already have all that you need. Ask Shomer Koller, how do we explain the Godel Hanisoy, the magnitude of why this is so difficult? And indeed history has proven the Torah correct that it is not so simple to keep the mitzvah of Shviyas. At least years ago, explains Rabbi Aaron Kohler as follows. Yes, you can have the food, you can have your otzer, your warehouses, your storage houses, they can be filled up plenty. And everything is great, your home, you're all replete with all that you need for sustenance. And when all is said and done, especially in an agrarian agricultural society, and when it comes year number 7, no matter how much food you have in your home, but you walk out day after day to the field and you see the trees and you see the crops and it's withering and it's falling by the wayside. It's not being tended to. You look out and you see I'm losing money. Man's initial perception is, I see I'm losing money no matter how much is sitting in my bank account, no matter how much is sitting in my warehouses and my storage houses. I look out in year number 7 and I see loss and I see depreciation and I see decay and decomposition. That's the test of a Shemitah. Trust that Hashem is going to give you all the bracha and all the sustenance that you need. I asked Rabbi Kola, but you got everything ready in year number 6. Hashem says you don't even have to wait. And still, when you go out day after day, week after week, month after month, and all you see is my prized field, my prized, beloved, cherished crops, and they're withering and they're dying, and I can't tend to them, and I can't plow, and I can't worry about what's going to be with all the crop yield for this year. It's bitochen and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the test. Because man's initial response is, I don't like to lose. No matter how much we have in a Roth IRA, no matter how much is in the retirement accounts, and even if it's a little less or a lot less than it was 3 months ago, no matter how much is sitting, no matter how much we have equity in homes and other material goods and possessions, a man doesn't like to lose. We don't like to lose money. And that explains our own. It's a tremendous chisar and bitachon. Hashem will not ever have us lose a 1 penny that we're not supposed to lose. Let me take you back to a book penned in 2008. My favorite writer in the study, The World of Behavioral Economics. This is Dan Ariely, an Israeli who teaches in Duke University. And he had a New York Times bestseller over a decade ago called Predictably Irrational. And he talks about the idea of free. Everybody likes getting things for free. We hear the word free. That's it, we're jumping. We're mamish all over the place. For instance, have you ever gathered up free pencils, free keychains, notepads at a conference, even though you'd have to carry them home and you would only throw most of them away? Have you ever stood in line, very long time, too long, just to get a free cone of Ben & Jerry's ice cream? Or have you bought 2 of a product you wouldn't have chosen in the first place, just to get that 3rd one free? And he followed up with a fantastic, insightful study. He ran an experiment at various malls. And what did they do? They offered anyone who would walk by the stand 2 kinds of truffles with a sign noting clearly you could only take 2 kinds of chocolates, you could only take 1 chocolate. One was an exquisite, a fancy truffle known as Lindt truffle, and the other was a small, tiny little Hershey's Kiss. 1 chocolate per customer, and they ordered in a bulk, they gave you a discounted price. Usually, the fancy, exquisite truffle costs 30 cents each, and Hershey Kisses, small little ordinary chocolate, Hershey's cranks out 80 million of them a day, 80 million little Hershey Kisses a day. So what happened when the customers flocked to the table? They set the price of truffle for 15 cents and a Hershey's Kiss for 1 cent. And here you had bargain prices. What happened? Over 70% chose to pay 15 cents for the truffle, and fewer than 30% opted for that small little tiny Hershey's Kiss. Then they decided what happens when we put up a sign that says, how free might change the situation. Free Hershey's Kiss, or you get the truffle for 1 cent less. So what happened? The truffle was 15 cents, the Hershey's Kiss was 1 penny. Now they took away 1 penny in price from the truffle, from 15 cents to 14 cents, and they went down in the Hershey's Kiss from 1 penny to 0. So you would think it should still echo that model of the 70-30 breakup, 70 for the truffle. It tastes much better, and only 30 for the Hershey's Kiss. What happened? 70, the tables were turned with apachu. 70% plus went for the Hershey's Kiss, and only 30% went for the truffle. But what happened? They started out 15 and 1 cent. They went down to 14 and 0. And it all went down the same. The percentages should have been duplicated. And what did they find? No, because once you went from 1 penny to 0, it's free. If something's free, that's it. Now we're tempted. Jews always looking out for a bargain. If we can get free, let's buy it. Do we need it? Of course not. All right, well, let's go in and get it free. So what's the psychology in that? Explains Dan Ariely, what is it about free? What's so enticing? Why do we have an irrational urge to jump for a free item even when it's not what we really ever want or need? And he continues, I believe the answer is this. Most transactions have an upside and a downside. But when something is free, we forget all about the downside. Free gives us such an emotional charge that we perceive that what is being offered as immensely more valuable than it really is. Why? I think it's because humans are intrinsically afraid of loss. We buy items and we know with everything we purchase, there's an upside and there's a downside. But when something is free, what happened? Now it's off the radar screen, any worry of loss. The real allure of free is tied to this fear of loss. There's no visible possibility of loss. When we choose a free item, after all, it's free. But suppose we choose an item that's not free. Then we start wondering and vacillating, did we do the right thing? What's going to happen? You know why we love getting things for free, right? Dan Ariely from Duke University. Because in the end of the day, when we get something for free, we don't have to worry about a loss. How many people play the stock market? They'll hold on to a bad stock for months, for years. Why? Maybe it's going to go back up. It's been a year, it's been 2 years, 3 years, and they see it dropping. Why? So many psychological research papers have been penned because people can't stand to take a loss. We don't want to lose something. That's an echo of what Rabbi Color just shared with us. You can have all the promises in the world. You can have intrinsic bracha inserted into all of your produce that you don't even need a special nes of a 3-year crop coming in year number 6. And still, as the Sforno told us, if you're not that archetypal Baal Bitochon who could just sit back and say, Hashem Yisborach has taken care of me and will always will. Don't worry about it, you'll see Nisim in year number 6. As the Chazon Ish pointed out, in a general sense for Klal Yisrael, not necessarily for Kol Yochid V'Yochid, because there's so many other bonus calculations at play. But both in Klali, in a general sense, Klal Yisrael will see that bracha. So what's the test? Question, Rabbi Aaron Kohler. The test is you can have all the money in the world, but human beings don't like to lose. We don't like to see our fields decaying and decomposing and deteriorating in front of our very own eyes. That's my property. You know how much money I sink into that. You know, the toil and the arduous labor and the due diligence that I put in day after day, year after year to this field, and I got to sit in the sidelines and just watch it fall apart before my very own eyes. Yes, because you're not going to lose anything Hashem doesn't want you to lose. Because the Gemara tells us in Be'at Zayin and Aleph, and we know it quite well, but can we live by it? Kol mezonos shalodam ketzuv lo me Rosh Hashanah v'Yom Kippurim. And Rosh Hashanah d'Megersos. That's it, your mazonos, your sustenance, your livelihood. However much you think you're going to play the market, you're going to get in on this great deal. However much you think, let me get this stock tip, let me invest in this real estate. Let me go ahead and work overtime and have 20 other patients. Let me take on these 15 other cases. But Sof Kol Sof, when all is said and done, we have to believe day in and day out we're not going to make 1 penny more. And we're not going to lose a single thing that Hashem doesn't want us to. That's Bahar. That's Parshas Bahar. That's Shemitah. That's Yovel. You will not ever lose one single thing unless there was a specific reason why you had to lose it. Your mazonos are already guaranteed. Chutz from Matzon, Shabbos, Yom Tovim. Other exceptions, the Gemara says, well, no matter how much money you spend, don't worry, you're going to get paid back no matter what. And as Yigeras Agro, the Vilna Gaon writes, I don't want you to think too much about the money. You're not going to gain anything no matter how much more amelis you put into your work, into working overtime. At the end of the day, just work to get your needs to go ahead and earn enough money to live. Don't fear and don't look at all these people who are far wealthier than you are. David writes until and don't say, no, I have to hoard, I have to gather, I have to build the retirement accounts, and I have to build my estate. Why? Because I have to leave over to my children. To the Yorshim, explains the Vilna Gaon, that's also not to the Cheshbon. Why? Because everybody is nolad b'mazlo b'ashkoches el elyon. Everybody has his own cheshbon with the Almighty. And you can leave over millions of dollars to a child, but if that child's not supposed to be rich, harbe shluchim l'malkim, and God will not have him make the money. And if you have a child who's supposed to be poor, and you are supposed to be wealthy, and you only left him a couple of $1,000, don't worry about it. It's in the hands of Hashem. And everyone has his own yachas ishi, his own yachas priti, his own individual personal relationship with the Almighty above. No matter how much money you leave them. We see cases, Yerusha money, and it goes like that. People win the lotteries, and it goes even faster. You're not going to make 1 penny more, 1 penny less. That's the lesson of this week. Be a Baal B'tachon. Trust HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're going to make exactly how much money Hashem wants you to make. You're not going to earn a penny more, no matter how much more. Amelis, just do your ishtalis, just do what you need to do, and follow the ways of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you'll see, and you will walk out with exactly what you're supposed to have, as always. So I want to close on the story that I've shared with the White Schultz Zebra in the past. How, for years now already, obviously, we have to put things on pause. But for years I have on Tuesday, Kabbalat Kahal, people come into my office, and they come in from all over the world, and they ask for money. Roshei Kolel and Aniyim, and organizations throughout the world. And this goes back many years, where somebody came into my office, and he told me about his family situation. He really needs money. So I was going to write him, besides what I gave from the rabbi's discretionary fund, I decided I'm opening up my wallet. He touched my neshama. I commiserated, I empathized, I took out a check, and I thought I was writing a check for $72. I write the check for $72. I give it to him, and he says, wow, Rabbi Feiner, thank you so much. I said, why are you thanking me so profusely? He was going on and on. I said, it's only 72. He says, 72. He says, Rabbi, take a look at the check. And it turns out the check was made for $720. Now, Morai Rabbi say, I write a lot of checks. I can't remember the last time in my life, and it certainly hasn't happened since, that I ever made such a mistake by inadvertently, accidentally adding a zero onto the check. And to the 70. Now, I like this person, and I liked his story, I liked the organization, his family, whatever it was, but I don't like him that much. $720, I'm not giving out to every person who comes into my office when I could have a line of $20, $30. $720 I gave him. He says, you can have it back and give me a new check. So I said, no. If Hashem wanted me to do that, I believe, that's it. Hashem wants you to have $720. My dear friends, later that very same day, see, I lived in Eretz Yisrael. When I was living in Eretz Yisrael, there was a major suit filed against Visa and MasterCard for charging exorbitant foreign exchange fees. And I got documents in the mail, fill it out. I was using my American credit card in Eretz Yisrael, living there for years at the time. So I filled out the information. I waited a month, 2 months. It took me 40 minutes to fill out the information. You have to do your shtalis. Paching in town, and what am I going to get? A few pennies every $100. Okay, but still, a shtalis is a shtalis. I waited 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, a year, nothing. 3.5 years later, my dear friends, 3.5 years later, in that same day, that for the one and only time in my life I made a mistake, and I gave that poor person $720, and I even wrote it. We were talking in Divrei Torah, that's the trick. Get Rabbi Feiner talking in Divrei Torah, I forgot what I was writing. Next thing you know, I wrote 720 instead of 72, and later that afternoon my mother-in-law calls me up and says, Eytan, I got something in the mail from Chase Visa. I said, what is it? It says, 3.5 years ago, you filled out some documents because there was a major suit, filed international suit against these credit card companies for exorbitant foreign exchange fees. I said, yes, please open it up, my dear Ema. She opens it up, says it's a check. It's a check for $724. The same day that instead of writing 72, I wrote 720. I got a check for 724. I know the story would have been more geschmack, even better, had the check been for exactly 720. But Rabbi said, you got to keep in mind inflation. Not only inflation, what about going to the post office, the stamps, whatever it cost me? I'm sure the Eibishter has that cheshbon worked out bidiyuk. That same day, why? Because more Rabbi say we're not going to make 1 penny more, 1 penny less. That's a lesson of Shemitah. Financial crisis surrounding us. What's going to be? The rate of unemployment. So many people out of work. So many people losing so much money in the market and beyond. The fiscal collapse all over the world to such a degree. What's going to be? Hold on, it might be a roller coaster. But just know inside your heart of hearts, no matter what you do, you're not going to make 1 penny more or lose 1 single penny. Be boteach b'Hashem, and I guarantee you, Chesed Yisrael Avenu, live with God. He carried us to this. He'll carry us through this, and He'll always give you exactly what you need. Stay with Him. Let Him carry you, and Emet Hashem will carry us all with Biyas Kol Tzedek to Binyan by Shlishi Meirav Yameinu Amen V'Yamen.